Now, I know I have said this before, but none have been as surprising as this. Disney-Pixar's Brave is one of the hardest games I have ever gotten all of the achievements for. Welcome back to Socks and Sandals, and welcome to the third game in the Disney-Pixar Games Challenge. I'm currently doing a challenge of getting all of the achievements for every Disney-Pixar game on the Xbox 360. So far we've done Disney Connect Rush and Disney-Pixar Cars. So the third game we are doing is Disney-Pixar's Brave. Disney-Pixar's Brave has a total of 44 achievements, and most of them are your straightforward affair. Kill a certain number of enemies with a certain type of weapon, collect all swords, bows. There are collectibles called tapestries in the game, but the most difficult one, and the one that I was working for the entire game, was to beat the game on Brave difficulty. With this being a kid's game, you would not assume Brave difficulty would be anything really to give you trouble. But this game, on its hardest difficulty, made me just as frustrated as Call of Duty on Veteran, playing Wanted Dead on Japanese hard mode. It's like Dark Souls comparable level of difficulty. But we'll get to that towards the end. So, a little backstory on Brave. So, the game we played previously, Cars, was set after the movie. But this one is actually just following the events of the movie slightly. It's been a while since I've seen Brave, so I don't know exactly how things transpire, but basically Merida makes a wish, her mother turns into a bear, she has to figure out how to turn her mother back to human. That's the gist of the plot, and we basically follow that throughout the game. So, as far as the achievements, the first achievement I actually got was Swordful, which is to collect a sword. And you get this just in the tutorial. Basically, once it's revealed that Merida's mother is a bear, Merida chases after her into the woods, and this first area is basically just the tutorial, and you just get the first sword. Next up is Bosom, yeah, it'd have to be Bosom because it's collect a bow. So, again, it just gives it to you in the tutorial area. So the first two achievements, at least, were freebies. And, you know, going by that, I assumed, oh, this will probably be just as easy as Cars. And then next up is Digging in the Dirt, which is to find the Earth Charm, again, found in the tutorial area. And then I got Dirty Work to cleanse the Ring of Stones. So, again, it's been a while since I've seen Brave, but basically, the reason Merida's mother turned into a bear is not just because of some wish Merida made. It's because of a cursed bear called Mordu that his, like, blight, as they were calling it, is seeping into the world around our titular hero, and that's what really caused Merida's mother to turn into a bear. And so within each level, there are areas that have like this thick miasma around it. And once you get into those areas, enemies spawn in. And once you kill all the enemies, it's cleansed that area. So you come to the Ring of Stones, which is basically your hub for the game. This is where you enter levels at. And the first time you come to this area in the tutorial, and after you defeat the enemies that are there, you cleanse the Ring of Stones and unlock Dirty Work. And I had yet been made apparent at the difficulty. I will say that when I started playing, I noticed that it was really hard to tell when Merida took damage. So when I started playing, the sword is what I used most at the beginning here. But I quickly learned that the sword is basically useless. But again, we'll get to that later. So next up, I got Carpet Runner, which is to collect a tapestry piece, which these are basic collectible in the game, but each piece you pick up buffs some aspect of your character. One will increase both the health of Merida and her mother. Another makes your power move last longer. And I can't remember what the last tapestry did, but each piece you get increases some aspect of Merida's character. And after that, I got Ante-Up, which is to purchase an upgrade. So like I said, with the areas that are covered in miasma, once you clear the miasma, there will be a shop there. It's just like it's a stone. Once you cleanse the area, you can go into the stone and purchase upgrades. And I got one for purchasing my first upgrade. There's also an achievement to purchase all upgrades. We don't get that until way later. So this there's a bit of grinding that needs to be done in this game. But after that, I got triple H's. So again, if you haven't seen Brave, not only did Merida's mother get turned into a bear, but so did her brothers. And they make an appearance in this game. There are sections you'll come to where Merida can't get through a door, and because her brothers are so small, they can squeeze into areas, and it's basically just these little puzzle sections that you have to use the three brothers to solve the puzzle. So this is the weird dichotomy with this game, is that it's got like elements like this where I think any child outside of like elementary school can solve these puzzles. But then there's the fucking difficulty, which granted, I don't think a kid is going to want to pick Brave, but like this difficulty was made specifically for adults that were wanting to get all of the achievements, because Brave difficulty is no joke. But the puzzles are fairly simple. Like I said, an intermediate school student can solve most of them. So after solving our first triplet puzzle, we unlock triple H's, which I can't remember their names. I think it's like Harry, Hubert, and Hermione. I don't know. They all start with H's. After that, I got minimum wage, which is to accumulate a total of 1,000 currency. It does say accumulate, but at the start, I thought it meant have 1,000 currency. So I went a little bit without purchasing upgrades. It ended up popping once I had accumulated 1,000 gold total throughout the short time I'd been playing it. I believe I got most of these within my first hour of playing the game. Next up, I got Toasty, which is to find the fire charm. This is in the first actual level. In the first 3 levels, there are elemental charms that you get. And before you get the charm, there's a battle with enemies that their weakness is the specific charm that you're going to get. So in this area, there are ice enemies. So I believe it spawns in 2 or 3 ice wolves, and then 2 like int things, like living trees. But the first charm you got was the earth charm. So you're basically having to fight these enemies that are only weak to fire with an earth charm. And it does that, like I said, for the first 3 levels. And this was the first spot where I was like, man, this is actually tough. I thought maybe I had missed the fire charm. I was like, I guess I'm not supposed to be here. I don't know what I could have missed. As far as I knew, up to this point, I had found everything. So, but yeah, it was made apparent to me that you basically have to fight them with a weapon that they aren't weak against. So after you clear this room, you are then given the fire charm and also the achievement Toasty for finding the fire charm.
It's hot to the touch. It must be magical.
And then after that, I got Everyone Knows It's Windy, which is to find the wind charm, which is gained in the 2nd level. Before you get the wind charm, the enemies you have to fight that are weak against wind are a rock golem and the absolute bane of my existence in this game, the boars. Holy crap, are the boars just the most infuriating, overpowered enemy in this entire game. So the way the boar works is it charges you, but there are times where, especially if there are multiple charging you at one time, it's like damn near impossible, and they can just get you in a stun lock and fucking just eviscerate you. I cannot stand the fucking boars in this game. By the time we get to the end of it, that feeling is just exacerbated.
Should help in battle.
So after I got the wind charm, I got the achievement Impressive, which is to get a 15 kill streak without Merida taking damage. And I'd been trying this, I got it in the 2nd level. Like I said earlier, the main problem with this game is not really knowing when Merida is actually taking damage. The controller doesn't vibrate, and really the only way you're going to tell is if you're actually paying attention to Merida's health bar at the top, or if with everything going on you can actually hear her like strain from taking damage. I finally got the 15 kill achievement, but then there's Untouchable, which I got next. I didn't get it until later on. You come to an area where there are 3, like, the only way I can describe them is stone portal, and they spawn enemies in, and these 3 portals spawn in those little rock golem creatures that are one-shot kills. So I was able to farm those 30 kills in that area. And because I kept dying at this battle here, I actually ended up unlocking Breezy, which is to defeat 100 enemies using the wind charm. So the same level I unlocked the wind charm, I was able to actually kill 100 enemies with it, just because of this one little battle area here. After that, I got Affluent, which is to accumulate a total of 5,000 currency. And then I got Ice to See You, which is to find the ice charm, which is in the 3rd level. And surprisingly, in this area that is made up of mostly ice, you fight fire enemies. Fucking couldn't tell you why, but yeah, you're introduced to the fire boars, and the normal boars are bad, the fire boars are Satan. After that, I got Heating Up, which is to defeat 100 enemies using the fire charm. The fire charm is probably my favorite charm in the game, mostly because a lot of the enemies are weak to fire. It isn't until later on in the last level where it kind of adds a variety where you have to constantly swap to your other charms. And then next up, I got Tremble, which is to defeat 100 enemies using the Earth Charm. I tried to kind of, I wanted to swap between them, but early on, a lot of these kill-specific achievements I got by killing enemies using their weakness. But later on, when I have to get the 250 kills for each weapon, I was just kind of like brute forcing killing enemies with something that wasn't their weakness. But after unlocking Tremble, I unlocked Get Out of My Way, which is as Eleanor, charge 5 enemies with a single charge attack. So after beating the 3rd chapter, I then went back into the 1st chapter to try and get, there's an achievement to complete a chapter without using the sword. So I went back into the 1st chapter, and the first time you actually play as Eleanor, I went ahead and just charged the first group of enemies there and got this one. And after that, I got ranged only for beating the 1st level using only the bow. Not a difficult one. Like I said, at this point, I realized that the bow is the weapon. Like, granted, Merida is a bow expert, according to the movie, you know? But I really don't even know why the sword is in the game. Because there are only a few sections where I actually ended up using the sword against enemies. Because, like I said, when you're that close, and it's so difficult to tell when you actually take a hit, it's better to just stay at a distance and shoot them with ranged weapons, because most of the enemies in this game are just going to tear you to shreds if you get close enough to hit them with a sword. So it was basically useless. I only used it really to break objects in the world to get coins. After that, I got all bunched up, which is as Merida defeat 5 enemies with a single charge shot. Again, I got this by killing a group of the small stone exploding creatures. I believe this was in the 4th chapter. They popped in out of like a dark cave. The charge shot is an ability you actually have to purchase from the store. And you have to purchase the charge shot for each charm. And obviously, like I said earlier, the fire charm was my favorite, so I purchased the charge shot for the fire charm and got the all bunched up achievement. Next up, I got Full of Power, which is to purchase 15 upgrades. Noteworthy there, just buying shit from the store. And then I got My Fair Lassie, which is to collect an outfit. So you don't discover your first outfit until chapter 4. I believe there are 8 chapters in the game. So you don't get your first one until halfway through the game. And there's actually only 3 outfits. None of the outfits even look good. So I started off just playing with Merida's outfit being like some guard uniform. I didn't change them back once I collected an outfit. They didn't grant you any special abilities or anything. It was strictly cosmetic. And none of them looked good anyway, so I didn't bother changing them. After that, I got Charge It Up, which is to defeat 100 enemies using the charged shot. And then I got On Fire, which is to defeat 250 enemies using the fire charm. So then we come to our first boss battle, and the Rock Golem Guardian is some cheating bullshit. So the Golem Guardian is throwing stones at you the entire time that you're in this arena, but there are also 3 enemy portals spawning in boars. Oh my fucking god. Granted, the arena here is big enough that you can kind of avoid them, but you're also having to avoid being stepped on by the rock golem, and you obviously want to destroy the portals before, so that they can quit spawning enemies Granted, if you kill enough of them, it'll destroy the portal, but I saw it best to just go ahead and get the portal destroyed and then kill the enemies, and then you can just be left with the golem as opposed to having like 16 damn boars running around. The golem, again, it's the hitboxes with all of these enemies. You can be like miles away from where the stone hits, but if like that poof of smoke that comes out from the stone even thinks about touching Merida, half of your health is fucking gone. So what I discovered is best in this point is when you see him like about to throw the stone, just jump. You don't take damage from the rock as long as you're not on the ground. So even if it like touches you in the air, you're not going to take damage from it. It only damages you when you're on the ground. So that's what I discovered was the best option for that. But it took me a good minute to beat this first boss, and it was some fucking bullshit. After that, I unlocked Mum's the Word, which is to defeat 100 enemies as Queen Eleanor. She's the bear. So there are sections where Merida will come to an area and get ambushed by a bunch of enemies, and Merida decides now's the time for me to actually do something. If she had been with us the whole game, we probably wouldn't have had any trouble beating a lot of these enemies, but she only likes to show up when Merida is clearly outnumbered, even though there are times where I was significantly outnumbered, but, you know, scripted event. After that, I got Wealthy, which is to accumulate a total of 15,000 currency. And then Throw Rug for completing my first tapestry. So I wasn't using a guide for this. All of the collectibles are very easy to get. There's not any that they are off the beaten path, but if you've played video games before, you kind of know where the main area is. And I basically got all collectibles my first playthrough each level. Like, I didn't have to play through a level again to get a collectible I missed. Again, if you've played video games before, you'll know the secondary paths. Next up, I got Super Bow, which is to defeat 250 enemies using Charged Shot. Until the end of the game, I thought the Charged Shot was probably the best thing. But the later levels, like the last two specifically, the enemies don't really give you enough time unless you've fully upgraded your Charge Shot, where it doesn't take as long. And even then, it seems like the basic attack, because you're able to fire more, does more damage than the Charge Shot. I stopped using it as much, but I was using it a lot once I unlocked it. Next up, I got Mopping Up, which is to defeat the Harpy Guardian. I think I beat the Harpy Guardian my first try. It may have been second try, but it definitely wasn't as difficult as the Stone Golem. At this point, I did unlock the Charge Shot for the Earth Charm. So at this point, I had unlocked the Charge Shot for the Earth Charm. And what it does is, as long as it hits something in the arena you're in, it'll spawn in allies. And it's the little stone things that explode when they get near an enemy. So I kind of used that for the Harpy, and then once I cleared out all the enemies, you just focus on the Harpy. And then after that, I got wall-to-wall carpeting, so I completed all of the tapestries. I believe you get the final tapestry piece in the second to last level. So at this point, I had unlocked all like health bonuses and power shot bonuses for for Merida. So I was damn near maxed out. And since I now had the final level unlocked, I decided what I wanted to do was end the game with my final achievement being Gaelic Hero, which is to beat the game on Brave difficulty. So I then went back into all of the other levels and started farming the remaining kill achievements, as well as getting points to get the upgrades. in the second to last level, there's a section where you're having to ride on icebergs and break other icebergs to continue riding on the one you're on. And it's the second time you have to break. There's like 3 icebergs that you have to break. And it spawns in the fucking boars. Granted, they are ice boars, but they're still the most OP enemy. Because I don't really know what was the trigger to spawn them in. I think it was attacking the icebergs spawns the enemy in. They're going to spawn in regardless, but I think the more you attack the iceberg, the more it'll spawn in frequently. I got stuck here, like, bad. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. This is the most broke-ass fucking thing. What I decided to end up doing, and I don't know if I just got lucky or if this is the actual way to do it, is to just focus on the boars and then worry about the icebergs later. What I thought was happening was that these things were infinitely spawning, but they do have a finite amount. So I just stood still and just focused fire on the boars. And when they spawn in, they kind of have a second before they, like, activate and then just go, no pun intended, hog wild. So if you can get them, like, killed to before they actually, like, get to you, because once they all charge you at the same time, it's Jover. Like, if you like, you just need to get them killed as quickly as possible, and then eventually you'll kill all of the boars and you can just break the icebergs. But that section was fucking ridiculous, and that's basically where I got the power attack achievement, is because I got stuck there for so long. I didn't have there are 2 perks you can purchase in the store. One way of doing damage increases your power attack meter, and then you have one that increases your power attack meter by taking damage. I think I'd only purchased 2 of the give damage and then 1 of the take damage, so it wasn't increasing as fast as it could, but I was stuck here long enough that I unlocked the power attack achievement. After that, I got Cooling Off, which is to kill 100 enemies using the Ice Charm. The Ice Charm, up until the final boss battle, was my least used charm. Just because, like, the second to last stage is really the only time they really start throwing fire enemies at you. Really wasn't used. But this was at the time where I just went back into the earlier levels and just started farming these kill achievements. I actually went to the same area that I unlocked the Breezy achievement, where it's got those stone dudes. What you can do is just kill all of the stone enemies, the little guys, and then just have one of the golems kill you. Or I don't think you can die by falling off the map. I think you can get your health down low enough, but you aren't going to die from fall damage. So you have to have an actual enemy kill you. But yeah, I basically farmed all of the charm kills in this area. I got Hurricane, which is to defeat 250 enemies using the Wind Charm. And then I got Ice Cold, which is to defeat 250 enemies using the Ice Charm, and Earthquake for defeating 250 enemies using the Earth Charm. And then I got Domination for defeating 250 enemies using the Power Attack. That one was probably like the most why does this achievement exist, just because, granted, I didn't have the Power Attack upgraded and it really wasn't something I used often. So maybe with people that played differently, it would have come quicker. But yeah, until I got meter increase fully upgraded, I hardly ever used the power attack. And since I had all of the kill achievements done, I then started the final level and got Swordtacular for collecting all of the swords. So again, it wasn't following any guides. I found all of the collectibles on my own I then got Brilliant for solving the last triplet puzzle. All of the triplet puzzles are required to progress through the level. So once you do the last one in the game, you unlock Brilliant. And then I got Bowlicious, which is to collect all bows. Weird fucking name for an achievement. Like, y'all couldn't think of anything that actually used bow in the name. Then I got Clothing Horse for collecting all outfits. The final outfit is actually the trickiest one to get, because in order to get it, you have to stand on a button, but once you step on the button, a boulder comes rolling down from the top of the stairs, and you can tank the damage, but if you want to do it without damage, you have to roll out of the way and then get back on the button. It's really the only time that the roll is necessary, because there's a gate that drops down. So the button activates a weight and the boulder. So the counterweight is pulling this gate up, but once you step off of the button, of course the weight is going to go back up and the gate's going to come down. So you have to like get the weight all the way down to the floor and then roll in order to get under the gate in time. The most difficult collectible to get. But yeah, that was our final outfit, and it's like Merida's torn dress. It looks cracked, like it's made of porcelain or something. Again, like I said, none of the outfits looked any good, so whatever. That's just what I ended up beating the game with. Next up, I gotta snag them all, which is to purchase all upgrades. So by this point in the game, in order for me to get all upgrades, I needed 17,400 gold. And that's with me purchasing at least level 2 of every other upgrade. So in order to get level 3 of the remaining upgrades I needed 17,400 gold. And what sucks about this is there are a series of upgrades that are for the co-op person only. Like, I don't understand why I'm buying upgrades for a co-op partner. That seems like something that they should have been able to purchase, especially since I wasn't playing with someone in co-op. The way I ended up getting the gold required is in the final level. It's the final Eleanor little battle thing. So you play as Eleanor, you defeat all the enemies in that area, making sure to grab all the gold you can. And on the way to that area, there are like little vases and shit you can break. In the Eleanor area, you can get about 700 to 900 gold. And then I think there's like an extra 200 and something on the way to it. So what you do is, after you beat the Eleanor section, go back to the shop, go into the upgrade screen, back out. It saves. You can then quit and reload, and it reloads you just before doing the Eleanor thing. You redo the Eleanor thing, and all of the vases and stuff in the other area respawn. You just do the Eleanor fight, break all the vases. The 2 chests, the one that has the dress in it, and then your final bow chest, also respawn. So you can get an extra 60 gold for opening those 2. You just do that over and over again until you get enough gold to purchase all of your upgrades. It took me about an hour and a half to get the final 17,400 gold I needed. It was about 2 hours total of farming to purchase the remaining upgrades I needed once I'd got to that point in the game. But yeah, once I got the 17,400 gold, I purchased the final upgrades I needed and unlocked, got to snag them all. So I wanted to do this one for 2 reasons. Like I said, one, I wanted my final achievement to be beating the game on Brave. And 2, I wanted to go into the final fight against Mordu completely upgraded. I'll say now, it did not help one fucking bit. I was maxed out completely, had all of the tapestry upgrades, and all of the upgrades I could purchase myself, and it did not matter one fucking bit going into the final fight. But after unlocking Gotta Snag 'em All, I got Great Scott, which is defeat Mordu. So the final Mordu fight, or the fight against Mordu, you're not actually fighting him. So he's got 4, each glowing the same elemental color as one of your charms. So the first enemy you fight is an ice enemy, and you have to beat it with fire. The second enemy is the worst fucking thing in this entire game. I spent at least 2 hours on the second boss that spawns for the Mordu fight. It is a giant fire boar, the worst enemy in the game. And this fight is broke as fucking hell. So the boars charge you, and they will keep charging you. The thing about the charge of the boar is it's based on distance. So the further you are away, the longer it takes for him to rear up to charge. But if you get down to the bottom of the area that you're stuck on here, he has a smaller area to charge back and forth, and he will just stun lock your ass. And it eviscerates you. So not only do you have him to deal with, but you've also got other fire boars, and then the Ints throwing shit at you. So the boar itself fucking sucks, but there are also spots on the stage where you will just get in a falling loop, and you can't get back onto the stage. You'll just keep falling off of it. And the only way to get out of it is when a fucking Int throws a fucking log at your head and kills you. Or when the fireboar touches you. So another shitty thing about this fight is the fireboars leave a trail of fire when they run. So the ice boars leave ice, the fireboars leave fire. If you so much as touch a pinky toe to the fucking trail, you can just kiss your fucking health bar goodbye. And again, the hitboxes in this game are so bullshit. You may not see a fire trail on the ground, but the hitbox for that trail is still there. There were so many times where I was killed by literally nothing because the hitbox was still there from the fire trail. But it's as if the Poison Swamp in Blighttown from fucking Dark Souls would kill you instantly, but the game still wanted you to fucking get through it. As opposed to it being a bar that increases your poison. Imagine if you just immediately fucking died. Because that's exactly what the fire was like in this part. Oh my fucking god. I figured out a little, like, exploit where... And I can't explain exactly what's going on with his pathing, the fireboard. For some reason, if you follow the, like, outer edge of the arena you're on here, and just kind of, like, shoot behind you and just walk backwards, the boar won't charge you as much. And I did this so much I can kind of tell at what point on the arena he was going to run around to the other side of me and change direction. Because that's what ends up happening. Is, yeah, you can get him stuck in this thing where he's just kind of following you and isn't charging. But eventually he is going to charge, and he's going to get in front of you. And then he just kind of runs this little loop back and forth. And once you get stuck in that, consider it a fucking death roll of an alligator. You're fucking dead. So I learned when he would start doing that and just change direction. And eventually I was able to beat the fireboard. The next boss was the Harpy again. And it wasn't shit. You're fighting the Harpy and then, like, just crow enemies. And I did that one first try and didn't really struggle with it too much. Granted, I would take some hits, but you know, it was definitely no fireboard. And the last boss you have to fight is the rock golem again. And what's bullshit about this one is there are ints, there are birds, and then there are other rock golems that spawn. Thankfully, there aren't any boars, but the other enemies in this fight are the problem, especially the birds. Like, the birds in the harpy fight weren't anything, but because platforms you have to be on in this area are so small, it's kind of hard to avoid them without just falling off the fucking map. The strat I finally ended up using here was just avoid killing any of the enemies because it's a waste of time. I don't know if these enemies are finite. I didn't really have the patience to try and test that. So I just avoided all of the enemies, got up to the platform the rock golem was on, and ran around that small-ass platform you have. Again, you just don't want to be on the ground when the rock golem throws his rock. Just jump up in the air, and you also want to avoid his feet. Because the area is so small, when you get too close to him, he'll try to stomp his feet. You just kind of got to get out of the way of that because that's an insta-kill. And that's what I just ended up doing. I switched to the wind charm and just ran around in a circle, kind of hoping that the bird enemies would not attack me, and just killed the rock golem. And after defeating Mordu, you get a final little cutscene where everything is returned to normal. Merida learns her lesson of not being a little bitch, and we unlock the most difficult achievement for Disney-Pixar's Brave, Gaelic Hero for beating Brave on Brave difficulty. I want to say this about Brave. I enjoyed Brave. I actually thought it was a fun game up until you're introduced to the boar enemies. The boar enemies in this game suck all the fucking fun out of it. If you want to play Brave, I can recommend doing it not on Brave difficulty. Other than the Brave difficulty, it's a pretty easy completion, but just the janky hitboxes of the game, I seriously think that the playtesters did not play this game on Brave difficulty. It is so fucking unbalanced. It's not even funny. But if you want to go for it, go for it. That's really the only hurdle. Everything else, there are the grindy ones of getting the 250 kills for each charm and everything, and then getting, it's probably like 30,000 gold to get every upgrade in the game. Those kind of, it's probably not 30,000. It's probably at least 25,000 maybe. But yeah, those are grindy, but they're not beating the game on Brave. This is probably, and without joke, one of the harder achievements I've got. I'm astounded at the amount of people that have got all 1,000 gamer score in Brave just because of that achievement. It's crazy. But that's the third game we've beat within the challenge. It's the 6th game overall that I've completed. But if you're enjoying the challenge so far, or you just want to see me get a tattoo, consider subscribing so you can either see me get a tattoo or check out the next game we'll be playing. I will be doing Cars 2 next. Like I said, I want to split up all of the Cars games because there's 5 of them with the other Pixar games. So if you want to check out Cars 2, check back next time. Leave a comment down below if you've beat Brave and if you've got all the achievements for it. But other than that, leave a like and check back next time for whatever I do. Bye-bye.